On the goal line says Jimmy G Colt game. Enough said. Trey will be fine. Or the Jimmy G game in Washington when they scored 9 points. Remember that game? They scored 9 points in Washington in 2019 and won because the defense gave up 0 points. But the reason the defense gave up 0 points is because Jimmy Garoppolo inspired them with his leadership. He really gets the credit for that. Nathan Flores says, geez, Jimmy Stans went full out on Trey after one game. Didn't know Debo's fumble and defense giving up TDs were on Trey. I like how Trey took responsibility. I need to be better. Jimmy was more we need to be better. Yeah, I agree. And like everyone's blamed. A lot of Niner fans are blaming Trey for this. Yeah, he turned the ball over. What about Debo? Debo had 14 receiving yards and a fumble. What about him? Is he like above criticism too? I'm going to get to Trey in a minute, but I'm going to answer some of these questions. Josh Wyatt says, on your show, I said they had issues at safety and D-line depth, and if they let the Bears hang around, that dam was going to break. Josh, you're on fire. This wasn't on Lance. This was an institutional failure to address needs in the offseason. Yeah, the D-line was ferocious in the first quarter, got tired. Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw made no impact on this game. None. Armstead, 2 tackles, Kinlaw, no tackles, and a holding penalty. Got to do better. Bosa, great sack in the first quarter. Where were you the rest of the game? Got to do way too invested on the D-line. And then Hufanga, great first half, comes out in the second half thinking he's Ronnie Lott. Just busting coverages left and right. Like, what are you doing? Do your job. Who do you think you are? That was crazy, man. Gabe says defense and Trey looked bad in the second half, but as the improved running game and flashes improvement Trey showed were enough to keep me confident. The people calling for Jimmy are freaking clowns. I mean, just what that run game looked like, plus the play action down the field, that's a good offense. They were averaging like 6+ yards. That's exactly what I was expecting coming in. That's what the offense should look like. Forget the middle of the field. Throw down the field, throw outside the numbers, run the ball all the time. That's enough. And then all of it went away because Elijah Mitchell got hurt. One running back gets hurt and the whole offense is gone. Go to Jordan Mason. But that's the thing about Kyle. He'll figure that out tomorrow. He couldn't figure that out at halftime? Really? You couldn't figure that out mid-game? You'll figure it out on Wednesday. I bet you Jordan Mason's going to be playing a lot next week. You couldn't figure that out today? Would have been helpful. Ricky Miranda says, I think Kyle Shanahan peaked as a play caller years ago when he called that deep pass to a wide-open pizza oven and hit it. That was a dime, though. Definite dime. CT Law says, $25. Thank you. Shout out Lance. Worth $20. 46 completion percentage. No crime in tandem quarterback. Jimmy won his first 7 games when he arrived. Sad next week will be ugly. We face a real team. Kyle has no wins without Jimmy. No wins without Jimmy. Dude, what? You really think Trey was the reason? Look, I'm not Trey's agent. I just want to ask you guys, was Trey Lance the reason they lost this game? Would Jimmy Garoppolo have been the reason they won it? I understand Niner fans want a quarterback who can overcome it all and be the reason they win games. That's what Steve Young would do. That's what Joe Montana would do. That's what Jeff Garcia could do. I submit that Jimmy was never that guy. He was never the reason they won games. He was often the reason they lost games. Trey probably isn't going to be the reason they win games right early on. His job is to not be the reason they lose games. And I don't think he was the reason they lost this game. What do you guys think? Suki Pazuki says Niners didn't lose. They ran out of time. Oh, no, they lost. Jason Lutz says, has anyone heard from the defense? They disappeared at halftime. Hope they're safe. Side note, Huff looked like Palomalo for 30 minutes and a rookie after. I don't understand how he could be that good and then that bad in the same game. That was crazy. David M says, if Kyle keeps handing the ball off to Debo 8 times a game, he's not making it to week 7. Wasn't that crazy? Said 8 carries. If I had asked you over under, do you think Debo's going to have more than 3 carries in this game? I bet you 90% of you would have said no. That was crazy. And I think Kyle looked at those 8 carries came fast. I mean, it was all part of the script. And then I think Kyle looked down at his play sheet and was like, damn, I need to give the ball to Debo now because Mitchell's out. And he's like, I don't want to give him more than 8 carries in this first game. We got to be all in, says Ricky. Trade for Pettis at deadline. Oh, man. Oh, what a day. The one reels on Getsu says defensive penalties and the second half weather conditions were far worse for Trey. Try and dig a team out in those conditions. Well, again, like a lot of these Jimmy Garoppolo fans are just going to be like, well, they think Jimmy's Tom Brady. So if Trey isn't Aaron Rodgers, then he wasn't good enough to them. Tom Huxley says losing DJ Jones will bite us in the peach. Yeah, I agree. That was not a dominant defensive front today. Everyone, what about DeForest Buckner? He could have helped. Remember that guy? He was really good. Brian Lester says, it's crazy how these people don't put into account Trey played on one of the worst fields possible, and in my opinion, puts together a decent performance. Yeah, I actually thought he did a lot of stuff that was really nice in this game. People are being really hard on him, and I understand these are the Niners. This is the team of Joe Montana and Steve Young, but they're not walking through that door. Joe's in his 60s. I'm pretty certain. Rod Simmons says D gets too much praise. Jimmy Ward, personal foul for hit on OBJ, NFC Championship game. We should have talked self-control. Good. It was week 1. It will humble them, but I'm pissed. I forgot about that play from Jimmy Ward. That's a good point. And I think, he'd been thinking about that. That was personal. If you remember, he intercepted Stafford in the first game against the Rams at Levi's, and Beckham hit him after the play. And I think Ward wanted to get him back. So good call on that, Rod. Alex says, I blame this loss on Kyle running one running back instead of rotating and throws over the middle. Yeah, man, that second half play calling was trash. First half, great. Second half, dude, get Jeff Wilson out. Give someone else a chance, please. And then all those passes over the middle, it's like, all right, well, I know what's going to happen at this point. Yeah, I could tell you. The coach says, got to call like I see it. Trent is visibly out of shape. Debo's fumble was huge. Oh, wow. Penalties are linked to our inflated ego. Trey said all the right things. His errors are fixable. One last thing, start Mason. I'm over it. Man, coach, I agree with everything you said. I don't understand how this team is so unprepared for this season. Trent, you said it. Debo, I've been saying it. I mean, Kittle couldn't get to week 1. Jimmy Ward, who I love. Yeah, this team, I really should have picked them to go 6-10. I feel like, but again, they should pay me to do that. I picked the 2019 Niners to go 6-10. They went to the Super Bowl. They should pay me $1 million. I'm like, all right, you're going to be 5-12, and then they'll play well. But they didn't pay me $1 million, and I'm expensive. CT Law says, unbutton your polo, please. Distract. No, I want to be more like Kyle. I like the way he dresses. Trey got nervous. Hufanga was a beast, and I cleaned up on the Trey prop bets. Hufanga was a beast, huh? Hufanga gave up at least 1 touchdown. I mean, his mistake was maybe the most egregious mistake in the game. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. What was the quarterback rating? Please say it for all to hear. 50. Kyle has a one-track mind, says Timothy. Adjustments are not in his bag of tricks. Defense, all gas, halftime break. Trey just taking the lumps. We know we're coming. Good call. Terrence Wing says, well, hold on. I don't get this. I tell you, Grant, that Kyle's the problem. No run game in the second half, and was I don't know. Well, I don't know, Terrence, but I do think that Kyle was the problem today. He had a decent plan, and once Elijah Mitchell got hurt, he had no idea what to do. A few minutes behind, Jimmy G would have eaten more mud pies than kindergartners. Yeah, that would have been bad. Okay, let's keep going. Hold on. There's 2 more. Ricky Miranda, are you doing film review this season? Yes. But I don't think I'm going to do the whole show. I think I'm going to watch it and then make clips because that's a little bit more focused. That's the way I look at it. J-Rod says the whole team sold low-key, just bad game overall. Dustin the Gale says, I'm sorry for ever doubting that guy. I appreciate that you called yourself out on Hufanga. I'm happy about this surprise performance. Now I'm doubting him again, though. I didn't like what I saw from him in the second half. The Amelia Sports Report says Kyle's incompetence and Niner D melted down like NFC Championship game. Yeah, it's crazy how Kyle can really melt down with a lead. It's crazy. It's what he does. Brian Lester says, I was waiting for a Grant versus Kinlaw 2.0 after he went down early. No, I was really hoping that he was not hurt. I don't want to see him get hurt. I want him to play. Antonio says, Trey scored more points in the rain than Aaron Rodgers. I haven't watched any other game today, but thank you, Giovanni, for letting us know. Giovanni says, Grant, go to Al Beef. Do you think they will cover? I don't know what you're talking about, man. The coach says it literally is the running backs, Grant. Pay attention. As soon as we lost Mostert, we struggled. We bounced back once Debo helped Elijah. 22, we lost Elijah. Now it's back on Debo. Time for Mason to step up. It's a must. I agree with you on that. And I want to give Mitchell credit, though. We were so focused on Debo last year. Mitchell was really good last year. And if Mitchell misses an extended period of time this year, then the Niners have to find someone who's as good as him. And it's not Wilson. And it can't be Debo. I think Mitchell's very important. Just for volume, he's not as explosive as Debo, but he gives you volume. If Mitchell had 18 carries in this game, they win. So I think we're agreeing. Hold on. This is going to take me a minute to scroll and find them all, but it's worth it because you guys paid. Please tell Flav that Jimmy will not play unless Trey gets hurt. Coach said this is Trey's team. Play the kid, says Greg. Yeah, but the complication is the locker room. How do they feel? But I agree. It's Kyle's team. Be a leader, Kyle. Don't bend to the will of your veterans. Be the coach. Flav says Trey had some nice throws in the first half, some great runs. But question is, can he win games and play well at the end? Jimmy could. Trey needs to also. We'll see if he can figure it out soon. Hey, fair enough, Flav. I would like to ask you, do you think Jimmy would have won this game? Because I do not. No Mitchell, no Kittle, no win. That's the way I look at it. But I think you probably disagree. And I think if you disagree, you're probably wrong because I'm always right. Josh Wyatt says, the stuff you're talking about wouldn't matter if that O-line wasn't actually worse than advertised. How do they turn this around? Is this a gap year? Again, I thought the offense was really looking good. Not elite, but good in the first half with Mitchell. They lose Mitchell. Kyle loses his mind. That's the way I look at it. So that being said, McGlinchey, oh my God. Hufanga played like a Pro Bowl caliber player. And then he lost his mind in the second half. Yes, I agree. Do the first half thing again. $9.99 from, hold on. Here we go. David says they want Jimmy. Josh Allen had 12 interceptions, 10 TDs as a rookie, but now look at him. I know. You gotta give the talented guy a chance because Jimmy had 5 years and he proved that he's not talented. Mario says, I think Trey was good. I think Kyle gets lost in his own plays. He needs to open up the field more and more bootleg pass plays. He just lost his mind after he lost Mitchell. It's like, I can't run the ball. What do I do? Oh, we'll do nothing. That's my idea. We'll just call a bunch of quick passes over the middle. That works for Jimmy. Okay, well, that's not going to work today, Kyle. It's raining, and your quarterback's Trey now. Digital Drew says, my worry, Kyle's history of finding a horse and riding it into the ground. Triple option, QB power runs. Oh, no. This is why they signed Jimmy G. Peter King might end up right, but due to injury. Well, yeah, I hope the guy they don't ride into the ground is Trey Lance. That would be bad. And today they did. 13 carries? So, yeah, don't do that anymore. Quinn Howard says, I could have sworn Niners were a power run team. Yeah, with Mitchell. It would be Pettis of all people to hand us an L. Glory. I know this. It seemed like there was some sort kind of like poetic justice that just happened that we don't know what happened between Pettis and the Niners, but somehow it seemed like the Niners deserve that. I don't know. Amtod99 says, hoping Bobby T calls Kyle and says, what are you thinking? Play the kid, Jordan Mason season. Yeah, that's where I'm going next. Flav says Trey 3 for 18 with bad interception in the fourth. Trey 3 for 18 with bad interception in the fourth. What are you talking about? He wasn't 3 for 18. Been saying going to take him a really long time to learn how to win games in the fourth. Still never led a game-winning drive in his life. Better figure it out fast. Yeah, but they wouldn't have had to look. There was no way they were going to lead he was going to pass for a victory in the fourth quarter. Did you see how hard it was raining in the fourth quarter? It was never going to happen. They lost that game in the third quarter when Kyle didn't use Jordan Mason and when Talanoa Hufanga started getting feelings and freelancing. That's when they lost that game. They would have won that game with Mitchell. That's what I'm saying. Hold on. James says they didn't call enough plays for Ayuk. Yeah, the run play, the first play of the game was for Ayuk, and it gained 7 yards. Never went back to it. Again, something works, call it twice. That always kills me when geniuses in the NFL find something that works and don't go back to it. Like, man, you're so smart. You had to go to all those other plays that didn't work because you're so smart. You couldn't figure out, like, I'll try it twice. Dress it up, do it a little differently. Dress it up, make it real for me. Julio says after Greenlaw's face mask penalty, Bears score. It was already fourth down, and that resulted in a first. Yo, Kyle's beating Kyle again. Grant called it. That one that Greenlaw had, I mean, the Bears were capitulating. They ran on 3rd and 4, gained no yards, got hit in the backfield, automatic first down on a face mask. Like, yo, yeah, you deserve to lose the game if you're going to play that sloppily. Are all these hits on Trey sustainable? No, says Dustin Gill. No, absolutely not. Again, this was so much like the Arizona game last year. Mitchell only had 9 carries in that game. Wasn't 100%. Mitchell had 6 carries in this game. What does Kyle do? We're going to run. The run game's going to go through Trey. Like, no. You got Jordan Mason on the bench. Why did you make him active? Why was he active for the game? Special teams? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Michael Hamilton says, Kyle's offense don't score points consistently. At some point, we must look at Kyle. Second halves against Pats, Chiefs, Rams, and today highlight this issue. Agree. He's better at getting yards and points. Again, they outgained Chicago by 127 yards and lost by 9. Kyle's done that so many times. He's had games in the past where he outgained an opponent by 200 yards and lose. Glory says Niners need to make a move for a speedy running back ASAP. Yeah, because Jeff Wilson didn't look like he had it. Skittles playing sideline football with Jimmy G just like last year. That's factual. Haha says, at the onset of the broadcast, Moose said you cannot put Trey in a position where he has to win this game. That's true at this point. Yeah, the same is true for Jimmy. It's too bad the Niners don't have a quarterback who can win the game for you. And they would have if they had Tom Brady, but they passed on that. Now they have to choose between two imperfect quarterbacks, and I know that they made the right choice. Dustin the Gale says, thoughts on Dre Greenlaw face mask call, bad call, didn't see it. He pretty much said he did it. He said he touched the face mask, didn't grab it, tried to take his hand away quickly. You called it on Huff, Grant. I don't want to be right about Huff. I hope he was really good in the first half. I hope he just cleans it up, figures it out, and does that all the time. You wild for asking about the fumble. Why wouldn't I? He laughed like he was above being asked about a fumble. And then people in the room act like they weren't going to ask it. Like, dude, what happened on the fumble? That was a huge play in the game. And you're Deebo Samuel. You don't fumble. And he laughed like, wow. Why should I have to answer that question? Well, because you fumbled, Deebo. And you had a horrific offseason. And you requested a trade. And then you did that today. Nice. I'm just saying, man, you got to be accountable. Got to be accountable. Everyone is accountable. Jimmy fans, I'm like, Trey Lance stood up there and said, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong. Deebo Samuel went out there, smiled, and got one question about his fumble and was like, sorry, dude. Victory Jones says, Jimmy fans only blame Trey, nothing else. Yeah, it's kind of a lame act. PSA for the clueless fans isn't Trey's fault, says Kyler. Man, I'm way late. It's like a half hour ago. Dante Pettis was the best receiver in that game. No, Jawan Jennings. Pettis didn't actually beat anyone's coverage. 10-point leads are Kyle's Achilles heel. That's funny. That's funny. Jonathan says, Brittle Kittle, help me make it trending. Nah, I'll get in trouble. You do it. Okay, hold on. There's a couple more, and then I'll get back to my final topic. I've been waiting all day to talk about Jordan Mason. It's nice being right about him. Seth Harvey says, all NFC West losing people overreacting week 1. It's true, the Niners are still in first place, right? Kyle cannot hold another 10-point lead. It's like I think next time he's about to get a 10-point lead, they should just go for 2. Make it 11. Because if you don't get 2, then it's 9. 10 is his unlucky number. Oh my God, 10 is his unlucky number. Jimmy Garoppolo? RG3? Oh my God. We just figured it out. There's some voodoo hex on Kyle with the number 10. He has to avoid number 10 at all costs. Wow. Interesting. Well, we just figured it out. 11-point leads. Never kick the field goal. Always go for 2. Man, I feel this is what quality controls does. Is this Kyle's fault for not playing Trey last year? How about it's Kyle's fault for not playing Trey in the preseason? 16 throws. He kept trying to say, I'm following the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes model. Go back and look at how many throws Patrick Mahomes got right before he became the starter in his second year. It was like 45 in that preseason. But that was 5 years ago. It was a whole different time back then. 4 years ago. I just feel like 2 years in a row, this team tapped out at halftime, week 1. That's not good. That's on the head coach. Get you guys prepared. Flav says 3 for 18 with 0 points in the second half versus the worst team in the league. Yes, I think Jimmy would have won. We'll see if Locker Room does too in a few weeks. No, I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have. No. With no Kittle, no Elijah Mitchell, Jimmy, they wouldn't have moved the ball. I don't think they would have. Especially with Deebo playing the way he was and the pass protection the way he was. And the way it was raining in the second half. No, I don't think they would have won with Jimmy in that one, man. But I guess we'll never know. Thanks for more money. Appreciate that. Karan says CH 35% pressure rate, never blitz equals quick passes. I'm not smart enough to figure out what you're talking about. Chicago, 35% pressure rate, never blitzed equals quick passes. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Stephen Pryor says, honestly, thought the O-line did pretty well considering both guards made their debut. Seems like a squad that can be built on. Yeah, the run game was working. Kyler V says, impressive plays from Jennings after a rough training camp. Seems like he is a gamer. I agree. Seems like Kyle trusts him too. Quinn Howard says, hates a mini vanilli, but blame it on the rain. Let's see how Trey performs in normal conditions next week. I thought both quarterbacks were good and Trey was better. I mean, Justin Fields ran around a lot and made some plays, but he threw to a couple guys who were wide freaking open. Trey had some dimes in between defenders. Donald Johnson says that interception that Trey threw was where Kyle wanted him to go. Look the safety off and drilled Jennings. Trey was the best player on offense. That's what I said. Like, Kyle wanted that throw. He called 2 consecutive third down throws over the middle, one to Jennings, one to Dwelly. And he needs to knock that off, dude. Don't do that. Stop throwing over the middle. I'm holding you accountable, Kyle. You got to knock that off. Either you're forcing it or Trey's forcing it. And the fact that Jimmy forced it over the middle, then Trey did it in the fourth quarter, and all your quarterbacks ever do, I'm thinking it's probably on you, man. Stop. Call the stuff outside the numbers and deep. Okay. Last one, then I'm talking Jordan Mason. This game reminded me so much of the Colts game last year. This loss is not on Trey, though. You'd have to be blind to think that. It reminded me of the game in Washington from 2 years ago when they scored 9 points. Difference was the defense gave up 0 points in that game. Stephen Pryor says it was very interesting that Danny Gray wasn't on the field once. Even if Trey doesn't pull the trigger because of rain, force that awful defense to cover. He was inactive because of special teams. Another strange decision. Yeah, like put him on. Why did you draft him in the 3rd round? And it's like, oh, he doesn't play special teams. I can't play him. Like, what? He does one thing, run deep. And now you don't like him because he's not versatile enough? What are you talking? Again, one more thing. Brock Purdy, does he really need to be on this team? If they cut Brock Purdy tomorrow, would some team pick him up? I submit that they would not. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Every team in the league had a chance to draft Brock Purdy, and they were like, nah, we're good. The Niners drafted him. He had a decent offseason. He had a solid preseason. Nothing spectacular. And the Niners kept him and cut a former 3rd-round pick running back. Not that he's great, but like, why is Purdy on this team? He was inactive in this game. He might as well be on the practice squad. That one escapes me. I don't think Purdy needs to be here. I think someone else could be on this team.